He thought it was just a simple job. A young human named Daniel traveled across the stars, believing he was hired only to plow alien fields. The pay was good, the work sounded easy, and the aliens welcomed him with smiles. But from the very first day, something felt wrong. The women never looked at the soil, only at him. Their eyes followed his every move. Their whispers grew louder each night. And when the alien leader finally spoke, Daniel's heart froze. "You are not here to plow fields. Human, you are here to plow our future." Daniel never thought his life would change because of a simple job offer. He was an ordinary human who always worked hard but never earned enough. When the message came from an alien colony, it sounded like a chance for something better. The message was short and clear. They needed strong workers to plow their fields, and the pay was higher than anything Daniel had seen before. He packed his small bag, said goodbye to his quiet life on Earth, and boarded the transport ship with hope in his heart. The journey across the stars was long, but Daniel kept dreaming about the simple work ahead. In his mind, he imagined wide green fields, shining suns, and fresh air. Farming was not new to him. He had helped his father long ago in the countryside. It felt familiar, and he believed this was the reason he had been chosen. Nothing about it sounded dangerous or strange. He thought he was finally lucky. When he arrived, the colony was nothing like Earth. The skies were purple and gold, and the ground shimmered with strange glowing plants. The air felt light, almost sweet, and the buildings looked grown rather than built, as if the land itself shaped them. Alien faces welcomed him as he stepped down. They were tall, graceful, and elegant, with eyes that seemed to shine under the sun. Most of them were women, and they looked at him in a way he could not understand. Their smiles lasted longer than normal, and their voices carried a hidden tone. Daniel tried to stay polite. He bowed slightly, greeted them, and repeated what he had been told. "I came to work the fields," he said simply. The alien leader stepped forward. She was taller than the others, dressed in silver cloth that reflected the strange sky. Her expression was calm, but her eyes carried a mystery. "You are welcome here, human," she said slowly. "Your strength is rare. The fields are waiting, and so are we." The words confused Daniel. He nodded but felt uneasy. The leader did not speak like a farmer hiring a worker. Still, he followed her as she led him deeper into the colony. The pots glowed under his feet, and everywhere he looked, the alien women watched him. Some whispered to each other, and when he met their gaze, they smiled in a way that made him feel both curious and nervous. Finally, they showed him a small house at the edge of the fields. It was simple but comfortable, built from living wood that moved slightly as if breathing. Inside was a bed, a table, and fresh water. Daniel placed his bag down and looked outside. The fields stretched wide, covered in glowing soil, waiting for him to work. At first sight, it seemed normal enough, yet something in his heart told him this was not ordinary farming. That evening, the women brought him food. The meal was warm and strange, full of colors he had never seen in food before. They sat around him, asking questions. They wanted to know about Earth, about humans, about families, about strength. Their questions were not about farming. One of them leaned closer and asked, "Do humans get tired quickly?" Another whispered, "Can one human care for many?" Daniel laughed awkwardly, not knowing what they meant. When the night came, Daniel stepped outside his house and looked at the sky. 2 moons glowed above, and soft lights floated through the air like living stars. The beauty of the world should have made him feel safe, but instead, it only deepened his unease. The way the women had spoken, the way they stared at him, it all felt like a secret waiting to be uncovered. He remembered the leader's words again. "The fields are waiting, and so are we." Why had she said it like that? Why did their eyes shine brighter every time he spoke? Daniel told himself he was imagining things, that he was just tired from the long journey. Tomorrow he would start his work, and everything would make sense. But as he lay on the strange living bed, he heard soft laughter outside his window. He sat up, listening closely. Shadows moved in the glowing fields. The voices were gentle, playful, and strange, like a song he could not understand. His heart beat faster, and he closed his eyes. hoping for rest. Daniel came here to plow fields. That was all, a simple job, a simple life. But deep inside, he knew the truth was different. Something about this colony, about these alien women, was not what it seemed. And tomorrow, when the real work began, he would discover that his job was not about soil or farming at all. Daniel woke up early the next morning, hoping the fresh light of the strange sun would clear away the doubts he carried from the night before. His small home felt alive, the walls shifting softly as if breathing with him, and the bed released him gently when he stood. He stepped outside, stretching his arms, and looked out at the wide fields. The soil sparkled under the purple sky, glowing faintly like hidden stars beneath the surface. It was beautiful but unnatural, and Daniel wondered what kind of crops could grow in such strange earth. As he walked toward the fields, he noticed again how the women were already there, waiting. They were tall and graceful, their clothes flowing like silver water in the breeze. They didn't carry tools or equipment. They didn't act like farmers ready to work. Instead, they stood in a circle, whispering softly to each other, their eyes following his every step. Daniel tried to ignore the way they looked at him, but it was impossible. Their gazes felt heavy, full of questions they hadn't spoken yet. One of them, a young woman with golden eyes, stepped forward and pointed toward the plow resting near the soil. It looked ancient, made not from metal but from some kind of living wood, glowing faintly in the sunlight. Daniel placed his hands on it, surprised at how warm it felt. He leaned his weight against it and began his work. The soil was softer than he expected, yet each step felt like pushing through water. Sweat formed quickly on his forehead, but he kept moving forward, determined to prove his worth. The women gathered closer, watching silently. Daniel tried to focus on the soil, but their stares unsettled him. Finally, one of them spoke in a low, curious voice. "You are strong, much stronger than we expected." Daniel paused, giving her a small smile. "Back on Earth, I worked with my hands. Farming is not new to me. This is what I know." The women exchanged looks, their whispers growing louder. Another asked, "Do humans always keep such strength? For so long, do they pass it on to their children?" Daniel laughed softly, shaking his head. "Children, I suppose so. Yes, strength can pass on in families. But what does that have to do with farming?" No one answered. Instead, they only smiled more, their eyes shining with something he still could not name. By midday, Daniel stopped to rest. They brought him water in a crystal cup, the liquid glowing faintly like liquid light. As he drank, the golden-eyed woman sat near him. She studied his hands, then asked in a gentle tone, "On your world, are there many like you? Many who can work so hard?" "There are many farmers on Earth," Daniel replied. "I'm nothing special." The woman tilted her head, her voice almost a whisper. "To us, you are not nothing." Her words lingered in his ears long after. She walked away. He returned to the plow, but his thoughts were no longer on the soil. The questions they asked, the way they looked at him, the strange importance they gave to his strength, it all made him feel like the job was not truly about the land. When the sun began to set, the glowing fields turned brighter, as if the soil stored the light of the day. Daniel stood at the edge of the field, tired but proud of his work. The women surrounded him again, bringing food and songs. They ate with him, laughed softly, and yet their eyes never stopped searching his face. That night, back in his small house, Daniel lay awake. He could hear the same laughter outside his window, soft voices floating across the glowing soil. He thought about the strange questions, about the way they had looked at him, and about the leader's words from the day before. "The fields are waiting, and so are we." He repeated those words in his mind until sleep finally came. Deep inside, he knew this was no ordinary farming job. Something larger, stranger, and far more personal was hidden beneath the promise of simple work. And whether he wanted it or not, the truth was drawing closer, step by step. Daniel woke the next morning with a heavy feeling in his chest. He had dreamed of whispers, of golden eyes watching him in the dark, and of fields that seemed to grow taller round him like walls. When he opened his eyes, the sunlight of the strange world poured through his window, warm and gentle, yet it could not wash away the unease in his heart. He rose slowly, touched the living walls of his small house, and stepped outside. The fields shimmered under the early light, glowing softly as if alive. The same women were waiting again, standing in groups, their voices hushed. They greeted him warmly, but their smiles carried a weight that felt heavier than kindness. Daniel tried to push away the thoughts that troubled him. He had a job to do, and maybe he was only imagining things. He began his work as before, guiding the strange wooden plow through the soft glowing soil. His muscles strained. His breath grew heavy, but he pushed forward. The women gathered closer as the hours passed, and their whispers never stopped. Daniel finally turned to them, wiping sweat from his brow. "Why do you always watch me so closely?" he asked with a tired smile. "Is it strange for you to see a human working like this?" The women looked at each other, silent for a moment. Then one stepped forward, the golden-eyed woman who had spoken to him before. Her voice was calm, but her words carried a secret that weighed on the air. "It is not the soil that we watch, human. It is you." Daniel frowned, unsure of what she meant. "Me? But I am only working the fields. Isn't that what you brought me here for?" Her golden eyes shone brighter in the sunlight. "That is what you were told. But the truth is, we do not need you for the fields." Daniel's hand tightened around the plow. He felt his heart beat faster. "Then why am I here?" The woman took a slow step closer, lowering her voice so that only he could hear. "Our people are in danger. Our world is fading. The soil grows weak, but so do we. The males of our kind can no longer give us children. Our future is dying. That is why you were brought here. Not for the land. For us." Daniel froze where he stood, his breath caught in his throat. The meaning of her words struck him like a storm. All the strange questions, the endless stares, the leader's mysterious words, it all made sense now. They had not hired him as a farmer. They had chosen him for something far greater, something he had never expected. The other women stepped closer, their faces serious now, their whispers gone. One of them said, "You are strong, human, stronger than our own. You carry what we no longer can. With you, our people may live again." Daniel shook his head, struggling to understand. This can't be real. I came here to work. I came here to plow the soil, not." He stopped, unable to finish the thought. The golden-eyed woman's voice softened. "You came to plow our future. Without you, we will fade into dust. With you, we may continue. That is why you were chosen." Daniel took a step back, his heart racing. The truth was too heavy, too sudden. He looked at the glowing fields, at the strange soil beneath his feet, and realized it was all just a mask. The real harvest was not from the ground, but from him. That evening, when the alien leader came to see his progress, Daniel could not look at her in the same way. Her calm eyes, her knowing smile, it was clear she had always understood the truth. As the sun set behind the glowing hills, she placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "You are more important than you know, human," she said softly. "The fields were only a beginning. Now, you must decide if you will accept the true purpose of your place here." Daniel stood silent under the fading light. The simple job he had dreamed about was gone, replaced by a choice that could change not just his life, but the life of an entire species. And though fear filled his heart, a part of him could not look away from the strange destiny laid before him. That night, when he lay in his small house, he did not hear laughter outside his window. He heard only silence, waiting, heavy and full of expectation. The truth had been revealed, and there was no turning back. Daniel could not sleep that night. The silence around his small house pressed down on him like a weight. He lay on the strange living bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the golden-eyed woman's words again and again. "You came to plow our future." Those words echoed in his mind until the stars outside seemed to whisper them too. He had come for a simple job, but now it felt like the soil beneath his feet had vanished, leaving him standing on nothing certain. When dawn arrived, Daniel walked out to the fields, hoping the sight of work would clear his thoughts. The glowing soil stretched wide under the sky, but he no longer looked at it the same way. To him, every part of the land seemed to hide a secret. The women were already waiting. They did not smile as they had before. Instead, they stood quietly, their faces calm but expectant. The alien leader approached him, her tall figure shining under the sun. She raised her hand as if blessing the fields, but her eyes never left Daniel. "Human," she said, her voice steady. "You know now why you were brought here. The choice stands before you. Will you work only for the soil, or will you work for our people?" Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to speak, but words came slowly. "I don't understand why me. Out of all the stars, out of all the worlds, why bring one man from Earth?" The leader's gaze softened. "Because humans carry something we no longer can. Your strength is not only of body, but of spirit. Our people saw it long ago, and they chose you. Without you, our kind will fade. With you, we can survive." The golden-eyed woman stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. "We do not want to force you, Daniel, but we beg you, we cannot continue without your help. You are the only one who can give us a future." Daniel looked at them, dozens of women watching him with hope in their eyes. He felt trapped between fear and compassion. He had never been needed this way before. On Earth, he was only another worker, just a man struggling to live. But here, he was not just a man, he was the answer to their survival. Still, doubt burned inside him. "If I say yes, what happens to me? Do I become your servant, your tool?" The leader shook her head. "No, if you choose us, you will not be servant nor tool. You will be part of us, respected, honored, one of our own." But even as she spoke, Daniel noticed movement at the edge of the group. A few alien males stood in the distance, their expressions cold. They did not smile or bow. Their eyes held something different, resentment, perhaps even anger. Daniel felt a chill. Not everyone here wanted him to stay. The day passed slowly. Daniel tried to work, but his thoughts would not settle. Every pull of the plow felt heavier than before, as if the soil itself was asking for an answer. The women stayed near, offering him water, watching him with quiet patience. They did not push him, but their silence was filled with expectation. When evening came, the leader returned to him once more. She placed her hand on his shoulder, her voice gentle yet firm. "You must decide soon, human. A people cannot wait forever. Our lives, and yours, are tied together now." Daniel nodded. Slowly, he looked across the glowing fields, at the sky painted in shades of purple and gold, at the women who carried hope in their eyes, and at the distant figures of males who carried something darker. He realized that no matter what he chose, his life could never return to what it was. As night fell, he sat outside his house, staring at the twin moons. He whispered to himself, "I came to plow fields, but now I must plow destiny." And though he had not yet spoken his answer deep inside, Daniel knew that the choice would shape not just his future, but the fate of an entire world. Daniel sat quietly the next morning, staring at the strange horizon. The fields glowed under the rising sun, yet he did not feel the same as before. His heart was heavier now, not with work, but with the weight of a decision. He knew the truth, and he knew what they wanted from him. The women had been honest, the leader had spoken clearly, and still he hesitated. He was only a man from Earth. How could he carry the burden of an entire people? When he stepped outside, the women were waiting as always. Their eyes were filled with hope, but they did not crowd him. They seemed to sense that he needed space to think. Even the golden-eyed woman, who had spoken so openly to him, stayed back this time. Daniel looked at them, then at the fields, then finally at the alien leader who walked toward him with her calm, steady presence. "You are still uncertain," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "I am uncertain, but I am not unwilling. I only know that if I am to help, it cannot be one-sided. You cannot keep me in the dark. You cannot treat me as only a tool. If I give myself to your cause, then I must also belong here as one of you. No secrets, no lies. You must accept me as equal." The leader tilted her head, her eyes thoughtful. The women behind her murmured to one another. The golden-eyed woman stepped forward, her voice low but firm. "He is right. If we ask him to carry our future, then we must give him truth and trust in return." Daniel took a deep breath. "This is my bargain. If I help you, then I will not be just your worker. I will be your partner. You must teach me your ways, share your knowledge, and let me walk among you not as a stranger, but as one of your own. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then the leader placed her hand gently over her chest, a sign of deep respect among them. You ask not for riches, not for power, but for truth and belonging. That is a noble demand, human. If you agree to help us, we will honor your request. You will not be servant nor tool. You will be family. The women around her lowered their heads in agreement. Daniel felt a warmth spread through him, but at the same time, he noticed movement again at the edge of the fields. Alien males stood watching, their expressions unreadable. They did not bow, nor did they show respect. They whispered to each other, and their eyes lingered on Daniel with something colder than curiosity. Later that day, as Daniel returned to his small home, a figure appeared near his door. It was one of the males, older, with sharp features and dark eyes. He spoke in a low voice that carried both warning and challenge. You think they welcome you. You think they honor you. But not all wish you to stay, human. Some see you as a threat, not as a savior. Be careful with the bargain you make, for it may cost you more than you expect. Before Daniel could answer, the male turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the glowing fields. That night, Daniel sat in silence, his thoughts racing. He had gained the women's trust, but he had also gained the watchful eyes of those who did not want him here. His bargain had been accepted, but what would it truly mean? Would they keep their promise? Would he really be treated as equal? Or would hidden truths rise again? He looked up at the twin moons, their silver light shining over the fields, and whispered to himself, if I am to stay, then I must be more than worker. I must be clever. I must be careful. And I must be ready for what comes. The laughter of women echoed softly from the village, full of warmth and promise, yet far beyond, in the shadows. Daniel thought he heard a different sound, low voices that carried no welcome. The bargain had been made, but the true test of it had only just begun. The next morning, the farm was quiet, almost too quiet. Daniel woke up with the sound of soft humming in the distance, like a song carried by the wind. He walked out of the small room they had given him and found the alien women waiting in the open field. Their eyes shimmered like stars, and their smiles carried a strange warmth, as if they had already decided something about him. He felt his heart beating faster, sensing that this day was not like the others. The leader of the group, the tall woman with silver marks on her face, stepped closer. Human, she said softly, the work you agreed to do is finished. But your purpose here, it is only beginning. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? You asked me to help with the land. That's what I did. The women exchanged quiet glances. One of them moved closer, placing her hand over the soil where new green sprouts had appeared overnight. This land answers to you, she whispered. You touched it, and it bloomed. No one else here could have done that, don't you see? You are not here by chance. His chest tightened. He wanted to laugh it off, but deep down he remembered the way the earth seemed to warm beneath his hands, the way the air had shimmered faintly whenever he worked. It wasn't normal. It wasn't just farming. Why me? He finally asked, his voice low. The leader looked at him with eyes that were both kind and heavy with meaning. Because you carry what we lost long ago, something hidden in your blood, something that can give life again. The words sank into him slowly, like stones dropped in water. He stared at the growing plants, at the alien women watching him, and for the first time he realized this wasn't a job at all. It was a choice, a path that would bind him to this world forever. One of the younger women stepped forward, her voice trembling. Stay with us. Guide us. We can't do this alone. If you leave, the fields will die again, and so will we. Daniel's breath caught. He had never asked for this, never dreamed of becoming part of something so much bigger than himself. And yet, standing there, he felt the weight of their hope pressing on him. The leader placed her hand gently on his arm. We offered you a job, human, but what we truly offered was a place among us. The wind carried the scent of new blossoms across the field, and in that moment, Daniel knew his decision would change not just his life, but theirs as well. Would he return to the safety of his old world or accept a destiny written in the soil of an alien planet?